Okay, so picture this, the Western Front, World War I. The landscape is just destroyed. Trenches, craters, and the splintered skeletons of trees everywhere you look. But what if I told you one of those dead trees wasn't dead at all? In fact, what if it was one of the most brilliant pieces of military deception ever built?
It's a weird thought, right? But that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. We're about to uncover this incredible story of pure ingenuity, where hiding in plain sight became a literal art form, and a hollow piece of steel could actually change the outcome of a battle. So, to understand why in the world anyone would go to the trouble of building a fake tree, we have to go back. We have to understand just how brutal the Western Front was. For years, you had these massive armies just stuck, locked in at a horrific stalemate, dug into miles and miles of trenches, basically just staring at each other across this deadly, blasted-out wasteland they called no man's land.
And here was the fundamental problem they all faced. To win, you absolutely had to know what the other guy was doing. Where are their machine guns? When are they going to attack? That kind of knowledge was power. But the moment you popped your head over the trench to get a look, you are a target. Simple as that. This whole situation meant that just getting a simple view of the enemy was next to impossible. It was this constant, terrifying cat-and-mouse game where the tiniest mistake could cost you your life. And the dangers were just relentless. They came from everywhere. You had snipers who were just waiting for any sign of movement. The tiny glint of sunlight off a periscope could bring a whole artillery strike down on your head. And even at night, enemy patrols were creeping around out there. There was absolutely nowhere safe to look.
Which is exactly why observation was so vital. If a commander could just get a safe vantage point, maybe just a few feet higher than the trench, they could see enemy positions, direct their own artillery with deadly accuracy, and see attacks coming. It was this massive strategic advantage, just waiting for someone to figure out how to claim it.
This was the puzzle military engineers had to solve. How do you build an invisible observation post right in the middle of what was probably the most closely watched piece of real estate on the planet? Well, the answer they came up with was as brilliant as it was gutsy.
Their solution was audacious, all right? They decided to hide in plain sight. They decided to build a tree. Not a real one, obviously, but a perfect hollow steel replica of a battle-damaged tree that they could put right in the middle of no man's land.
Now, this wasn't some prop from a play. This was a serious piece of military hardware, an observation post tree. It was forged from tough steel for protection, but then disguised with incredible artistry to look exactly like a splintered, dead tree you'd see anywhere on the front. And its one and only purpose was spying. And the nerve it took to pull this off, it's just unbelievable. It was basically a nighttime heist in 4 steps. First, they'd scout out a real dead tree near the enemy line and photograph it from every angle. Second, an exact replica was built out of hollow steel. Then came the hard part. Under the cover of darkness, engineers had to sneak out, cut down the real tree, and put the fake one up in the exact same spot, all before sunrise and without making a sound. And when they pulled it off, that fake tree became a silent, secret eye watching the entire front line. It was the perfect observation post because it was hidden in the most obvious and therefore the most ingenious place possible. And inside this armored shell, there was just enough room for one. A single soldier had the lonely and incredibly dangerous job of climbing a narrow ladder inside the trunk to watch the enemy. So just imagine the difference here. To a German sniper looking through his scope, what he saw was just a shattered, lifeless tree trunk, just another piece of battlefield junk. But what was really there was a secret intelligence hub, a soldier inside, peering through a hidden periscope, mapping trenches, spotting machine gun nests, and reporting it all back through a buried telephone line. It was an intelligence goldmine. And that was the whole point. The entire reason it existed was to spy on enemy movements without being detected. It was all about getting that life-saving information, but without paying the usual bloody price. You know, this incredible feat of deception wasn't just some clever party trick. It really stands as this lasting legacy of wartime innovation. It proved that ingenuity could be just as powerful a weapon as artillery. It's so important to see these things for what they are. They're more than just camouflage. They really represent human creativity under the most extreme pressure you can imagine. It was this brilliant fusion of art and engineering, all designed to outthink the opponent, not just outfight them.
The story of these fake trees is just a powerful reminder that sometimes the most effective tools aren't the biggest guns, but the cleverest ideas. It goes to show that even on a landscape of total destruction, human ingenuity can still find a way to grow. And it kind of leaves you with this one last thought. What other incredible stories like this are still out there, just hiding in plain sight?